Hi, Johnny. What a week it's been. Oh, can you ever remember what previously like this one? First, an entire election plan, at least what everybody understood was the election plan, gets tossed over. Two candidates at the last minute pull out and give their vote to the one that the establishment, the empire wants. Yeah, the empire struck back. And then the crazy cat fights we've had. Warren finally giving up her campaign and telling her supporters, thanking them for their help, and then saying, we left blood and teeth on the floor. Can you imagine this? And then, of course, what happened with Schumer naming two Supreme Court justices and saying, they're going to reap the whirlwind, they're going to get it for this, it's going to chase them down. It's amazing. It's amazing. I brought up cats, a cat fight, because I've had cats in my mind. Cats, why cats? Oh, there's a reason. Let me share it with you and see if it makes sense to you. I think it does. There are people that don't like cats. Well, they say they don't. They always say, oh, well, that one I like, but that's an exception. No, but they don't like cats. But have you ever met a person that didn't like kittens? Oh, everybody likes kittens. They're cute, they're fuzzy, they're energetic, they're wacky, running all over the place. You take a light, you shine it, they'll chase it. I mean, it's endless fun. Kittens are great. But nature has decreed that kittens become cats. Why is that? I had a kitten once, and I said, why can't it just stay a kitten? But it can't. Now, those who believe we live in a created universe will say, well, that's the way it's designed. Kittens are supposed to become cats. But those that don't see the universe that way, that think in terms of survival of the fittest, have to assume that nature tried kittens and said, they've got to turn into cats. It's better that way, because what doesn't work is what's rejected, and what works is what stays. That's what survival of the fittest is really all about, Darwinianism. And just as it is with a kitten, where it goes from this crazy, frolicsome thing to something that tends to be rather stoical, very independent, does what it has to do with energy, but then, you see the pictures on Facebook about the way cats sleep. They'll find a place to rest. And that's a cat. Well, people are like that too. We start off as kittens. We call them children. And children are a lot like a kitten. All this energy, they cannot be contained. They have this fantastic amount of imagination, and they just go, 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 go. It's the line of teachers for all history. Running in the halls. You can't stop it. You can try to regiment it, but then all you do is get laughed at, and the teacher that makes the biggest fuss over it is not the one who's respected, the ones who just looked upon as a jerk. That's the kitten. But then what happens, you reach a certain age, and the kitten becomes a cat, or the child becomes an adult. The boy becomes a man. That seems to be also what nature decreed. Now, if you look at history, just even the history of the United States, the most profound periods as far as America being, wonderful, the American dream, was when the kittens turned into cats, when the boys turned into men. The 1950s was that way. Now, by the 60s, this was already being dumped upon by the intelligentsia. They didn't like it, and they even tried to deny it if it happened, but it did happen. The TV shows, Father Knows Best, Leave It to Beaver. The kids go out and do crazy things, that's the fun, and then they get it to fix, and they go to Dad, and Dad helps them resolve it. That's the way of wisdom that was seen. And that didn't go over well with the intelligentsia. Now, the reason that it was so strong in the 50s, and there are a lot of reasons why the 50s were an extraordinary time, and some economic with factories and so forth, but part of it is that the boys had gone off to war, and when it comes to wild times, many of them said, I've had enough of that, thank you very much, now I want to have a family, I want to be responsible, I want to build a life for myself. The games were over for them. Their youth, in a sense, in many cases, was stolen away, and they had to grow up. But because they grew up, they accomplished great, great things, and made America what it really became. just an extraordinary generation. But the intelligentsia, as I said, didn't like that, and they were working against it early on. You saw it in fiction, both read fiction and in theater and in movies. You probably heard of The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. It was a story of a man who came out of the war and decided, with the help of his family, that he should get ahead and move ahead, and it ran into hypocrisy and people trying to crush his ideas, steal his ideas, and in the end you're left with the idea that having the gray flannel suit, being the man, the responsible man, the company man, was a downer and something to be avoided. Earlier on, Eugene O'Neill's book, The Iceman Cometh, it dealt with a man. It takes place in a boarding house, and half the people there are drunks. I mean, they're really a troublesome people, but the one person they look up to is an accomplished salesman, someone who does things right. And in the beginning of the play, you say these people that aren't producing are the losers, and he's the hero. And by the end of the book, you come to realize that of all the people that were suckers, he was the most so. He was being used, and there was hypocrisy involved. All of this was steering society to what happened in the 60s, the rejection of 50s value, the rejection of adulthood, the reduction of the cat stage, as it were, and telling youth they should become kittens. And that is where we are today. We're in a world of kittens. And I don't think it's fair to ridicule, the guy in his 20s who's still living in his parents' basement. That's the standard line. There could be good reasons, economic reasons, for a person to still be living in his parents' home. But the pushing away of responsibility, the wanting to stay a child at age 20s, at age 30s, and they go into their 40s, even into the 50s, they're still a kid. They have kids' interests. They don't want any responsibility. They don't want to take on for themselves, for their own lives. Others should take it on for them. And thus we have the running towards socialism, that somebody should pay their debts, somebody should give them health care, everything should be free. And the stuff that is believed is absurd, that this will work. It can't work. Now, this psychologically is called magical thinking. That's what separates a child from an adult. A child thinks that whatever they wish can simply be. An adult knows that's simply not the way it is. You have to build for yourself. And in the world becoming real, as we talked about last week, I think that it's that more people are starting to wake up to this, and I'm willing to say it. That's the big thing, is that you're not supposed to say it, even if you realize it. And a lot of people do, and they say, well, I reject the ways of youth and I'm becoming an adult, and both men and women do this. You're not supposed to say it. You're supposed to defend the childishness. Oh, they have their youth. They have their youth forever. They're so young at heart. And instead of the people carrying their own load. So we're living in a world of kittens that need to become cats. Cool cats if you want, but you gotta become a cat. You gotta become an adult. And that's the thought I really wanted to share today. This is something that we should be frank about and honest about, and encourage in others. And there are ramifications that go way beyond what we've talked about this morning. Maybe you and I can talk about it some more, privately, or even on the air. A wonderful thing. Anyway, thank you for letting me share this, Johnny, and just looking forward to the rest of the program. Bye now.